We're going to start a new unit today in science. I had the time to do a cute little drawing. We're going to be talking about sharing the planet in Unit 5. So if you're in 4th grade and you just learned about science, you are in the right place because that's what we're about to do. All right, so what are we going to be doing in this unit? Understanding how organisms grow and coexist in ecosystems. We're going to be doing a lot of exploring in Unit 5. We're going to be exploring, like I said, the roles that organisms play. We're going to explore how these organisms obtain energy. We're going to explore how we track the flow of energy, and also we're going to explore what food chains and food webs are, what they're used for, just kind of like the whole circle of life type deal. And right along with life cycles, we're going to be also exploring how these organisms survive with the resources around them, how these resources play into the kind of life that each of these different organisms also lives. So Unit 5 is going to be broken up into 3 separate parts. The first part is going to be the producers, consumers, and food webs portion. World over. All right, so producers and consumers can pretty much be found anywhere, almost all places throughout our planet. The ways in which these producers and consumers interact is pretty crucial to the survival of our different ecosystems. Because these producers and consumers have interesting relationships, it is sometimes our job as humans to ensure that we are sharing the planet successfully with them. We are organisms that are also sharing with these different plants and animals that all live in our world. So even though we can be selfish and only think about ourselves sometimes, we do have to be mindful that we are living in other organisms' habitats, just like they're living in ours. So we're going to talk and just dive a little bit deeper into that. So to tie in this part of the producers, consumers, and food webs section of Unit 5, we will be focusing on one main question, and that question is, what would happen to the relationships in an ecosystem if an animal goes extinct? So think about that question. We're definitely going to be revisiting that a few times, but that is going to be the focus of producers, consumers, and food webs whenever we discuss that. The second thing that we're going to be looking at, or the second section that we're going to be focusing on in Unit 5 is life cycles, okay? So all and just kind of taking a moment to step out of our own bubble and everything that we have going on in the world right now and take a look at how the organisms around us live as well. So the focus question, I don't know, I like this, I got excited. So the focus question for the life cycle portion of Unit 5 is going to be, what resources are necessary for organisms to complete their life cycle? So what kinds of things these different organisms need in order to, complete their journey from one stage of life to the next, to the next, to the next, and so on. All right, so part 3 of Unit 5 is going to be a nice and big review on resources, renewable resources, non-renewable resources. What am I even talking about? So what am I even talking about? Some of y'all might know, some of you might be like, okay, I don't think I was paying attention that day, or maybe there's just pieces that I didn't get to go over in class. So now we have the time to just really kind of go into each thing and make sure that y'all are understanding there's renewable and non-renewable resources on the planet, and our life depends on a lot of these resources. Not just our lives, but the organisms around us also depend on a lot of these resources. So it's important to share these different resources with people and other living things in order to survive. How can we conserve certain resources, and how will this shape the future of our planet? How do the decisions that we make today impact what our actual planet will look like in a year, in 2 years, in 10 years, 20 years? You know, y'all know me, I can keep going. So we're just gonna be looking at that. And the main question, well, we have 2 questions for this part of the unit, and those are, what will life be like, or what would life be like if or when we run out of non-renewable resources? How would that change our world? Would that change our everyday life, or would it change our life on a smaller scale? We'll be looking at that. And lastly, why is it important that we share resources? This might seem like a, common sense question, but sometimes even the common sense ones are the ones we need to talk about. Why is it important that we share instead of just keeping all the resources to ourselves? What's the thought behind that? Does anything come from that? We're looking at that too. So that right there is basically our overview of Unit 5, Sharing the Planet. As I post these videos, if there's ever a link, a certain website, an article, a book, anything specific that I am talking about in the video, and I say that I will link it below, that is where you can find the links to these things. Say, for example, I am discussing something about STEM scopes, and I'm telling you about an assignment that I assigned y'all on STEM scopes. I'll have the STEM scopes link below. At this point, all of you guys have your logins. You should know how to access some of these websites, but if you don't hold back. We're here, we're still working. It's just in a different environment now. So let us know if you need help logging in. That way you're at least sitting home, we're kind of hanging out together, maybe even if we're not doing it in person. Yeah, so I don't really know what else to say, but I miss you guys. Sending you all hugs from my little apartment over here. I cannot wait to see you guys again, and I hope you guys are enjoying and making the best out of this whole experience. Love y'all.